My name is Jim Halleck, and I met Dr. Francois probably about 4.5, 5 years ago. At the time that we met, I was going through many health challenges. I had just been recovering from botulism. I've had two strokes. My lungs have collapsed 5 times. Many times I'd heard the doctors stand over me and say, "I don't think he's going to make it." And inside, I was thinking, I don't want to go quite yet. Well, I met Dr. Francois, and I had just got done with a full body scan to check out to see how much cholesterol I had in my body. I got done, and the doctor said, "Jim," he says, "your cholesterol, I can't find any. But he says, I need you to come into my office, you and your wife." So we went into his office, and he said, "Jim, your lungs are in terrible, terrible shape." And, I knew that because after I had the botulism, my lung capacity was 37%. And so I'd continued to be athletic as much as I could. But when I came to Texas, my capacity had becoming better and better. But he said, "Jim, he says, at least you've got double pneumonia." And I said, "I feel fine." And so he said, "Well then," he says, "I would say that you've got cancer in your lungs. You need to go to a pulmonary specialist immediately." So what I did is that I was talking to Serge, and Serge and I knew that he was a chiropractic doctor, and that he had used many common therapies that he had discovered and that he was still discovering. So he said to me, he says, "Jim, I'm going to give you this drink to drink and a few drops, and I call this drink my grass drink." Now, it's not grass. It's, a compound of many different vegetables and things like this, is it? So I started taking this drink, went to the pulmonary specialist. He said, "You immediately need to do a biopsy on your lungs." So that's where they go through your nose with a scope. I wasn't really excited about that. And when they went up my lung or my nose with the scope, he, called me to his office. A couple days later, I went into his office, and I sat down at his table, and there was a Bible sitting alongside the table. So he walks in, and I go, "Give it to me. Tell me the truth." And he said, "Jim," he says, he says, "Don't," he says, "the Bible I just have sitting there," he says, "so you're not going away." But he says, "You have what's called sarcoid." And sarcoid is an inflammation that grows in different parts of your body, and it can grow at any time or at any rate, and it can be deadly. And so I had told that to Dr. Francois, and he said, "Jim, take these things," and he says, "This will really help you." So every day, twice a day, I took my grass drink, I took my vitamin O, I took a few other drops that I put under my tongue, and and I was thinking like, well, I'll do it. And so 30 days later, I go into the pulmonary specialist. He takes another X-ray. He said, "Jim, come into my office." I go into his office, and he says, "Jim, what are you doing?" And I didn't want to tell him I was taking my grass drink. But I was taking my grass drink and my drops, and, and that's the only thing I was doing. And he says, "Whatever you're doing," he says, "you need to keep doing it." So 2 months later, I went back. There was no sign of sarcoid anywhere in my body. And so Dr. Francois is that God used him and that to get rid of that out of my system, and it's killed many people. And so I'm very thankful. And so Serge and I have become friends, and that I call him Serge. It's Dr. Francois. Is that if you get to know him like I do, you can call him Serge. But is that when he got into the oxygen therapy, I still had some blood pressure issues and a little bit of cholesterol issues, and that still catching a lot of viruses because my immune system wasn't strong enough. So he said, "Jim, try this oxygen therapy." I have been doing it now for about 8 months. I have not got the flu. I have not got a virus. I have not got a cold. I've got some symptoms that start. I come in for a treatment. The symptoms immediately go away. And I go to New York all the time. I just have got back from Germany, so I travel internationally. So all I can say is that before I was getting the flu 2-3 times a year. pneumonia once a year. Dr. Francois has been giving me this treatment on a regular basis, and all I can say is thank you.